Hello everyone, I am Plankera. Today we're going to continue rigging Shalom from Paths to Nowhere. So last time I had finished up most of the stuff on the side here and I was thinking about moving into the back hair and stuff. When I was looking at it again this morning, I don't think I'm quite satisfied with the direction of this strand. I think it's sticking out a little bit too far and it would make for a better illusion of space if I was able to move it a little bit to the left. So let's see if I'm able to do that. I'm just going to try some things. If I can't get it to look good, I think this is fine. Like, it doesn't look terrible like this, I just think it would look better if I brought it much further this way. That's the goal here. I'm going to have to do some shenanigans to tuck it behind the strand there, but I just want to do a quick sketch to kind of get a feel for how this would look if I actually did it like this. So that was a pretty big change. So let's see how this looks overall. Yes, I think once I get some of those angles right, that this could potentially look pretty good. So let's get started on some of those angles. This one. Alright. So when I'm talking about the angles here, it's like when it's in the front, it just swoops out this way. So I kind of want to keep this angle that we're still kind of swooping out over there in here too. So that's why I'm tucking in a lot of what's over here. And I know that I'm going to have to pull some shenanigans to get that highlight that I was very particular about a few sessions ago. To get it back. That's okay, I think I can do it. So let's just focus on getting everything else in place for the time being. One thing at a time. Alright. Still not quite there, but I think I'll be able to fix that with tucking in the strands here, so let's go ahead and start doing that. I think part of it is just that this side is sticking out a little bit too much. Just got pushed a little bit too hard. So now I'll go start putting it back into a better spot. Something like this. There we go. There we go. Something like that. Let's see. Still don't like the angle here quite enough, which tells me that I probably need to simultaneously push some of the things up here a little bit further back. We'll just push these real quick. Don't want to overdo it, I'm just trying to take it nice and slow, just so I don't make giant changes that I just need to revert. So one side in, and then this bottom part out a little bit. Yeah, I think something like this will look pretty good once I finish cleaning it all up. And this also means that I need to tuck this strand in a little bit better. I still want this to be behind. And I think I want this strand to go and hide behind this strand as well. The more I looked at it, the more I didn't like it. Just hanging out there, sticking out. It should just be behind everything. Yeah, I kind of like this. Now we just need to go clean it up. As always, when I make big shifts with the brush tool like this, everything kind of got shifted in a direction, mostly down. Saw that when I was moving things back and forth, so I'm gonna start shifting large parts of it upward. And then over here, I lost a little bit of the curl in this little strand, and I kind of want some of it back. I don't want it to be super curly, I want it to look like it's going into the background, but I want a little bit more curl than that. So I'll go ahead and add some of these things. Still a little bit off in the angle, I think. I might end up going back and forth on some of these things. As I do, it's pretty normal. Making true choices is hard, you know? So we'll see how things turn out. But so far, I'm pretty happy with this. Alright, just because it'll bother me the more I work on it, I'm gonna make sure that everything is properly tucked behind the strand before I continue. And once it is, at that point, I think I can start smoothing everything out. Start from the root, work my way down. That strategy has been serving me well, so I'm going to continue to use it. Alright, so I can already see that we need a little bit more floof here. It got a little bit flat and all that, so let's get the floof back out here. And you can see the little bit of highlight there starting to peek out again. That's good. That was very useful for separating the hair strands from each other, so I'm glad to see that I'll be able to keep that. I was a little bit worried when I was making some of those big changes. Worried that it might not make sense to bring that highlight back out. But there it is, in all its glory. Just shyly poking its head out, ready to greet the world. I'm very happy for it. Alright. So just trying to get the right amount of floof in here. Not doing too much. I don't want it to be just overly round. That would defeat the purpose of having a lot of it go further back in the first place. But the idea is that it's supposed to be a little bit more hidden. Just hiding behind the strand in front of it. Should make it look a little bit more three-dimensional. I'm already liking the effect, so I think this will be an improvement over the previous version. Which I think makes it worth the extra effort. It's definitely a bit of extra work to get a lot of this right, but it makes me happy. That's what matters, right? I've got to go through all this silly justification. It makes me happy, so let's go do it. Just cleaning up some things through here. I'm only worried about the top part for now. One area at a time. No need to try to do the whole thing at once. Once I have the top area really sorted out and looking good, then I'll know that it's a reliable anchor for everything that comes below it, and I can work on the lower parts relative to the higher parts. Because ultimately, each piece of this kind of informs each other piece. And once you know that you have something in the right place, you can use that to gauge where everything else should go. It's very useful. So here I'm using the work I did on the root, since I didn't really change the location or angle of the root at all. Just using that to give me a good idea of where everything else should be. Some parts are still shifting upward a little bit, so I'll be working out those kinks little by little. It's not too surprising. It pretty much always happens when I do big, sweeping changes with the brush like that. After all, I don't have an especially steady hand or anything, so things tend to get all over the place when I need to make big changes like that with the brush tool. It's okay. I still think it's worth doing because it's easier than moving each individual vertex. Trust me. In the previous version, the brush tool didn't exist, and that's exactly what I had to do, and it was a bit painful. So glad it exists now. It's wonderful. So here I'm just trying to find the optimal amount of floof going on here. Exactly how much I should fluff out the hair, and then a little bit on just getting all these little pieces into good spots. Like here, I feel like this shadow right up against the bang here is a little bit too prominent, so I'm doing a little bit of work to bring it back. Trying to avoid moving it too much because I do think that this area needs to be fluffed up a little bit more. And I want to make sure that the center line of dots in my mesh there is all lining up and getting to where it needs to be. I want to pull back the shadow, but I also want to make sure that the center line is far enough forward that I can make the top part here floofy. Always the balancing act. And because I changed that, I have some other parts that I need to change to kind of compensate, but I think it's okay. It's coming together. Yeah, definitely coming together. I'll just be making these small tweaks here and there, and we'll see what happens. I've been seeing lots of little bunnies on my morning walks. So that's been cute. It's like, I don't think they're babies. The baby bunnies tend to be a lot smaller than that. And I don't think this is when bunnies normally reproduce, but there's lots of little groups running around, chasing each other, running away from me. All that stuff. Some of the bunnies don't run away from me, but most of them still do. I think that's just how bunnies are. They'll probably always be a little bit afraid of people. If I was a prey animal that had to worry about being eaten, I'd probably be a little bit more afraid of everything around me too. Sounds like a very stressful existence, honestly. Nice being on top of the food chain. And this is something that's been kind of weirding me out, but the area I like to walk has been by a little creek near my house. And there's a little trail in that area. And apparently they just recently mowed all the grass by it. And I'm like, wait, why are people taking time to mow the grass next to a nature trail? Don't people walk on those things to get away from, like, the artificial cultivation of people's yards and stuff? Like, I get being worried about bugs or it undermining parts of the trail, but that just struck me as very silly. I don't know, is it just me? 'Cause, I mean, I don't even pull the weeds in my yard, so what do I know about taking care of trail? Personally, I liked it better when the grass was tall, wild, and unruly. But I think that's just my taste in general. I don't like all this work that we do to just control everything around us. It's fine to have tall grass. And it's fine for everything around us to not be completely controlled. Sometimes you just gotta roll with it, you know? And sometimes I think that all this effort that people put into just controlling everything around them probably has some negative effects in their psyche. I mean, like, it's parkland that I walk through, I think. So it's not like it's anybody's yard, so I assume somebody's being paid to do this. So I guess good for them for being able to have a job, but I don't know, it's just struck me as very odd. Makes me wonder if that kind of thing happens on a lot of little park areas. Like, I totally get it for, like, the playgrounds and stuff. 'Cause that's different. You don't go to a playground to enjoy nature. You go in a playground to make kids happy, and if you're complaining about wheeling kids, well, I think you're just in the wrong place, but it seems like when you're going on a nature trail, it's because you want nature, not mowed grass. I think it's just one of those things that I will never quite understand. It's alright, I suppose I don't have to. If enough people appreciate it, then I don't mind accommodating them and being the weird one. If necessary, I can always find different places to walk. That one's just convenient because it's right near my house. For me, it was especially funny because I actually had been walking in other places in my neighborhood and just kind of enjoying what people are doing with their yards and, you know, those places where it makes sense to have everything be controlled. And I liked there because, well, it wasn't controlled because it was just natural. And now it's not, so I'm a little bit sad. Sound of the water's still nice though, so I'll probably still go in that direction. Or maybe I'll start walking around the neighborhood again, do some exploring. Enjoy their yards. All that kind of stuff. I have options, I can do what I want. But for now, we've gotten most of the top of the strand. Looking pretty good here, so now I want to make sure that the transition from red to white is looking really good. Look, and right here things are looking a little bit wrinkly. And I think part of that is, oh, not that one, this one, is because I'm having to really tuck in the strand in order to make sure that it gets underneath this one, because it still does need to be underneath this. That might be a little bit tricky. Let's see what I can do. It already looks like I actually have a lot of room to pull out the leftmost vertices. So I should be able to make this nice and smooth. We'll see how many problems I have. It's looking like I probably won't have too many. So that's nice. I feel like I'm getting down to the bottom of the strand pretty quickly. And if that happens, then maybe I can still do the back hair today. Oh, that would be exciting. Just gradually finish all these little pieces. Get them to where they all need to go and have a reasonably convincing head turn here. Honestly, I think after I do the Y direction too, so like left and right is X because I'm just moving the head around the X axis, and then up and down would be Y because you're moving the head around the Y axis. I think after I do both of those and maybe rotation too, I might go and start actually doing some physics. I've been looking forward to doing that for a long time, so I'll be very happy when I can finally do this. Think about it every day. I just look at this hair and I'm just like, oh man, I'm gonna make it shake. It's gonna be so floofy and soft, and it's gonna be great. And I'm so excited. But I do think I want to do the Y and probably the Z direction too. If only because Z is just so easy. Just very quick rotation. I don't think I'm going to do anything special with it, so. Just need to do something fairly basic. Get it down. She doesn't strike me as someone that, I don't know, turns her head to the side very much. So, yeah. I can probably keep it pretty simple. I also looked into a little bit on how tracking works and some things that I can potentially do to improve tracking on models and stuff. Right now I'm just having the program take in the numbers and apply them directly, but apparently you can pull some shenanigans with math. Because math just makes everything better. And I am not being sarcastic. Not at all. Math is great. Math does so much for the world and gets such a bad rap because people teach it badly. It's such a shame. Art and math go together wonderfully. And I think it's a little bit sad that a lot of people don't think so. I mean, just look at all our golden ratios and all that stuff. That's just math. Finding beauty in numbers. You have to remember that even though I draw and do some of this stuff, I'm also a programmer. I think math is great. Pretty much always have. So if you're a little intimidated by math, I hope someday you'll be able to embrace it. It can do many a wonderful thing. Just look at, like, fractals. Those are... A lot of those images are made by computers, just taking a function and applying it infinitely, and then putting some color to it. Like, that is definitely artified math. And they look really wonderful. Oh, do not fear the math. Love the math. May it do good things for your art, too. has for a lot of people. That is where we get, you know, the golden ratio and all of this good stuff. People have calculated how our brain works with some of this, and it's kind of scary that we can apply these numbers to how the human mind perceives beauty, but I think that's also incredibly interesting. The world is just so interesting. Like, humanity knows so much that no one person can really learn it all anymore. Don't really have any proper Renaissance men anymore. But, there's still so much left to be discovered. So much left to figure out. The limits of the human mind to be able to perceive and understand the world are really starting to show themselves. Just by we're having to do a lot with machines. I mean, just look at how weird some of the stuff gets to, how weird physics, just in general, gets to our understanding of the world. Between relativity and quantum mechanics and all that stuff, and just how different they are and how counterintuitive it can be, and that some of this probably says that something about our fundamental understanding of the world is wrong. And it's fascinating and terrifying. And actually, now that I think about it, there's definitely a lot of math going on with rigging. It's like you don't really have to understand the math. The computer handles most of it for you, of course. But the sheer amount of math on the back end of the code. Like, I've taken a look and I'm just like, man, I don't even know what half of that means. Not too surprising. I didn't finish high school, so I missed out on a lot of math. And I've been having to just kind of pick it up at my own pace since then. Not sure how I managed to finish college math, to be honest. A bit of magic. A bit of luck. That's kind of what it feels like to me. I guess I worked pretty hard, too. I guess I shouldn't forget that part. It was pretty rough. It was pretty rough. I probably have a reasonable enough grasp of the linear algebra to be able to figure it out. And if I don't, well, that's what Google's for. I do want to take a look at it at some point. There's a lot of things I want to do, really. I guess speaking of things that I was considering doing at some point, for a while I was involved in various role-playing communities on, like, Roboards or JC Inc. and all those kinds of places, just forum roleplay as opposed to tabletop roleplaying. And I was thinking about making a skin or something. Not sure if I will, because I've largely fallen out of that community, and I'm not sure if I'm ever going to go back. We'll see. Maybe if my husband ever feels like doing stuff with me again. And I'm not sure if I want to really get too involved. Never actually feels like people want to play, so it makes me a little bit sad to leave for that reason, but it's like, if nobody actually wants to roleplay, then, well, what's the point of staying? It makes me a little bit hesitant to make something in that vein, but it has been on my mind. If you're curious on how you can turn code into art. That's basically what web development is, in my opinion. Just turning all these fancy numbers and colors and stuff into just art. Stuff that's pleasant to look at, and not just pleasant to look at, but also pleasant to interact with. Because when it comes to web, it's stuff that's meant to be used. Like when I'm just drawing a picture, no one's going to use that for anything. It's there to look at. But when I'm drawing a user, or designing a user interface or a web page, that's meant to be used. It's meant to be clicked on. It's meant to be poked at. So I always like approaching it from that direction as well. Of not only is it nice to look at, but it just feels good to use, and I've created a few things where I just like pressing buttons repeatedly. Pressing buttons like people use the Life2D physics window. It's a good time. Makes me happy. I kind of lament that my interactions with that hobby haven't really worked out recently. Always a bit sad. Alright, so I guess now almost down to the bottom there. Just gotta figure out this loop here. Things have been progressing pretty smoothly. Got that transition looking great pretty fast. At this rate, I think I will be able to finish the back hair too. That makes me pretty happy. I think I actually want to move this area a little bit further to the right. Just the area kind of around the loop. I feel like it's going a little bit too straight down. I want to push everything over like this. That'll need to be cleaned up, but it is a start. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better. In fact, I think I need to do it a little bit higher. Just a little bit over here. Try not to pull things up too much. A note to my hand. Please be kind to me, hand. I'd appreciate it. Yeah, I think that's a little bit stronger. So now, just have to correct for my hand's personal deficiencies in control. Just straighten things out a bit. And then we shall see how everything shakes out around that loop. But because I poked up here a little bit, I need to make sure that everything here is in the right place again. Because yeah, it looks like it's being pulled upward. So I need to bring it all back down. Let's see here. It still kind of looks like it's being pulled. Let me look closely at the direction. Okay, so up here is still being pulled up. Probably means that this needs to come down just a little. And this needs to come down just a little. Based on how that was moving. Yeah, there we go. That's a little bit better. And now we'll do the next area, which is going to be here. And pull it down a little. There we go. Pull this down a little, and pull this down a little. It's like the distortion isn't too strong, so I'm trying to be very gentle in my approach here. Very, very gentle. Don't want to overdo it. Still feel like that little black dot is moving downward. Well, that probably means I overdid it in some area somewhere. Who knows? I can still observe that little black dot, so I'll use that as my guide. It kind of feels like this needs to come down, though. Whoa. Hand slipped. Didn't actually move it as far as I thought I did, but I always get concerned when my hand slips. How's that? I don't know. Still feels like some stuff is... I think I moved it in the wrong direction, actually. I think this actually needs to be more up here. Some of these areas I don't want to move around too much, because I think that they look okay. But some I have a little bit more flexibility with, so... I can move those just fine. Okay, there we go. Most of the way there. Correcting for that big change that I wanted to make. Now I'm almost back down to the loop. Where I was before, I was like, I don't know if I like this angle. That's just how it goes, isn't it? Just changing my mind on the fly and having to go back and fix everything because of it. It's alright. I appreciate just being able to make a decision and roll with it. It'll be fine. And honestly, I do think that this looks a lot better. I see the difference and it makes me happy. And you know, like I said from the beginning, if it makes me happy, then I think it's worth doing. I can take as long as I need to finish this after all. There's no rush. And I can just go, and go, and go. Forever and ever. Honestly, it takes a lot for me to get bored on working on one piece, like... way back, before I started really focusing on improving my art. It used to take me like 8 months to actually finish something. That is maybe a little bit of an exaggeration. I was just thinking of one in particular where it did take that long, but to be fair, I gave birth in that time. So I wasn't actually drawing the whole time. I'd say closer to 2 or 3. But I used to work on the same picture 2 or 3 months, a couple of hours every day, and it would just take me that long to finish it because I had no idea what I was doing, and I just kept poking at it until I actually liked it. Never gave up. To an extent, I find it questionable on whether or not it was worth spending that long on one piece, but I did it. I wanted it to be a certain way, and I wasn't going to stop until it was, so That's just how I roll. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. I guess there are pros and cons, as with most personality traits. But I do appreciate my ability to just go. Just decide I'm gonna do something and have it get done. Okay, I'm gonna zoom out here just to see if that little bit of distortion actually looks bad or not. No, I don't think so. I'm gonna revisit it after going a little bit further down, because the distortion down here is bothering me. I need to fix things around here before I can do too much more. Oh, let's see. Let's get the curl of this little strand just right. See how that is. Yeah, I like that overall. Just kind of need to get everything into the right spot there. I think everything's shifting upward a bit. I'll just shift it back down. No big deal. Probably have to clean it up a little bit after that, but that's fine. I can do that too. I just want every little vertex here to be happy in its new home. Not squirming around. Feeling uncomfortable. Can't have that. Alright, this has given me a better look at what's going on around the loop here. I think I need to slide it down just a little bit. It was mostly in the right spot, but now that I've gotten some of the other distortion around there corrected, I can get it into an even better spot. No need to compromise, little loop. We can get you the perfect home. And it'll be wonderful. There's like this little curl around that loop that I'm trying to capture here. It was quiet for a second while I tried to really analyze what I needed to do there, and I think this is pretty good. Yeah, I'm still looking at a little bit of shifting up there, debating if I want to fix it, but I guess the fact that I'm noticing it at all means that it's probably worth taking a look at least. Just adjust some of these outside vertices. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Okay, now I can start getting to the tip of the strand. Get everything there in a good spot. Smooth everything out. This thing's got a little bit distorted after I pulled everything around with the brush, as you know, tends to happen. So I just need to find the right balance here. like those 2 rows of vertices are very easy to make. Sometimes a little bit hard to control. Not that hard, but sometimes a little bit. It's a little counterintuitive how they work sometimes. There we go. I think that got rid of most of the distortion there, so does that look good when I have it swing around? I think it's swinging maybe a little bit too hard, since this strand is kind of running up against her shoulder. So I think I actually want this area a little bit further this way. Just the little tip of the strand. Don't want it to go too far. It'll get lost. And then over here, I think I've actually pulled this a little bit too far out. I want to push it back in. And then I want to pull this out too. I do not think this is the correct curve, but it is a start. Yes, it is definitely a start. Sometimes you just gotta start somewhere. Get things going, and then it'll become a little bit easier. Just like now. I understand it a little bit better because I just got that little bit started. And now hopefully I can get everything into the right place here. Yeah, I kind of like how it's not going too far out. Alright, so now let's fix this curl and make it look a little bit less distorted. Something like this, maybe. Just try to get rid of some of those crunchy spots and get everything nice and smooth. That's all I'm really trying to do right now. I want the strand to curve a little bit, but not too much. Because I want it to look like it's curling back into space. Or it's going backwards. Still a little bit of crunchiness right around there. So before I test to make sure that this is all looking good, I want to fix this. This is no good as it is. There we go, something like that. I feel like the transition into the curl is a little bit too high. I don't think it's shifting, I think I just have it in the wrong spot. So I gotta push it all down. Something like that, maybe. Yeah, that's better. Alright, I need to hide this front side hair here because I see that there's a little bit of crunchiness there, but it's kind of hard to see with that bang there. So we'll take that out for just a little bit, just long enough for me to really make sure that this area is nice and smooth and straight. There we go. That should be better. There it is. Okay. Momentarily confused, but that happens sometimes. Especially when you're not getting enough sleep. Insomnia is the worst, man. But eventually, it'll stop and I'll sleep again, and then maybe I'll have more energy. I'll be able to do more stuff. All the stuff that I want to do. So there's this little shadow area right here. And I think it's a little bit too high. So we're just gonna bring it down a little. Okay, and then I need to straighten out the strand as well. Just got a slight little crunch in there from that. A very little one. Yeah. I think that's pretty good. Let's turn on the back hair. We'll see what the me of tomorrow thinks, but the me of right now is satisfied. So let's get the back hair going. Because yeah, it's supposed to meet up at the edge of this strand. I'm just gonna pull it on out there. And I'll worry about cleaning everything up afterwards. First, I just kind of want to get the big picture done. And I can kind of see that, you know, like this strand is supposed to be closer to her chin. So I want to go in and take a smaller brush and pull all this closer to her chin. Most of the stuff over here is covered up, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. But all these should be a bit more like this, I think. Yeah, that's already a bit better. So let's have this match the direction of her head a little bit better. And then I want to pull this highlight in. This highlight needs to be just kind of over here. Doing its thing over there. All that good stuff. It's funny, today I thought I was going to be doing back hair and then the hair strands and maybe finishing up the head turn. But perfectionism said no. You still have more work to do. And I agreed. But it's okay, I think it's for the best. It looks better. I do like the way those changes made it look. I have no regrets there. I just think it's funny how brains work. It's like, oh yeah, I might actually be able to finish today. It's like, no. Never allowed. Can always do a little bit better. I think I want to pull some of the darker colors back over here. This is less for how it looks right here and more how it looks between the two keyframes. I feel like it's going over a little bit too far. For whatever reason, this is what my brain is fixating on, so I'm like, okay, we can do that. Knock yourself out, brain. Go fix the thing. You can do it. So I'm just going to straighten this out a bit. And I think that should do it for everything I need to do on the right side. Or, nope, that was a little bit too much. A little bit too much. I'll bring it back over. I'm just going to adjust the vertices directly here. Just use my hand instead of a brush. It'll be okay. Do the easy part before I jump right back into the kind of more difficult part. But yeah, okay. I'm satisfied with that. Yep, everything else is going on elsewhere, so this is fine. Let's work on this side now. This is fine. Now I just want to correct all the little things going wrong here. I made things shift downward quite a lot, so bringing it back up. Bringing it back on up. Raising these little vertexes high. Let them have some fun. Wave their arms around in the air. As though vertices even have arms. They're dots. It's fine. I can pretend. Don't worry about it. Still see a lot of shifting over there. It's probably going to take me a couple tries to get it all right. But I can take a few tries if I need it. I don't have to get everything right away. Just keep poking at it until I like it. That's how it goes. No other rules. So right now I'm just looking for all this minor shifting that I've been seeing. And step by step, just fixing it all up. It's not too exciting. But it is important. I never doubt the importance of all these little steps that I take to get to the end. I do think some of them are more important than the others, but I do think it's important to pay attention to every little place and put a good deal of effort into getting as much as you can looking good. This is why I struggle with perfectionism somewhat. Like, I don't struggle to get started or anything, but I do want everything to look really good. And I kind of give myself really high standards. Because I want everything to look really good. Like, why would I want to settle? That's terrible. But it means that I spend a lot of time doing stuff that's maybe a little bit unnecessary and that nobody will notice. Sometimes I even get mad when people don't notice. It's very silly, don't you think? Rains are truly the worst. They're so strange. Fixating on the weirdest little things. So hey, if you're worried about something, consider the possibility that it's just your brain being weird and not making any sense at all. Brains do that sometimes. After all, our brains weren't wired for happiness or productivity or anything like that. They were wired to survive and reproduce. That's about it. It's only the ones that were able to do those things passed their genes on to the next generation. And those genes informed the brains of that generation. And those genes affected the behavior of that generation, who would then also grow up and make a new generation. And on the cycle went. That cycle would only end when one of the people that grew up didn't have kids. Just kind of funny how it works out. Your brain doesn't want you to be happy, it just wants you to live. Survive. Make some tiny humans. All that good stuff. So I think sometimes that's why it feels like our brain is fighting us. It just has different goals. Alright, so now I'm just trying to get this highlight on the side looking good here, and this little shadow down here. But mostly focused on the highlight for now. But I think it's mostly there, just needs a little bit more attention. I do actually think I want it closer to this line. So we'll see about bringing it on over. See if this makes a good home for all this. It may or it may not. I might have to try something else, but well, that's fine. I can keep trying. There is absolutely no rush. I can just keep going forever. That said, I probably do want to stop for today soon, but I would like to kind of finish up the back hair here. Just because I feel like I'm almost done and be kind of ashamed to stop when I'm this close. We'll see how hungry I get. I tend to either eat or go for my morning walk after stream. And so when I get sufficiently hungry, I just want to eat all the food. I don't have anything special in the morning, just like a microwave dinner or something. I have an irrational fear of the stove, so I prefer not to use it, and if I can't make it in the microwave, I generally don't cook it. Because of this, it's given me an appreciation for raw spinach as a snack. I think it's very tasty. I think certain vegetables are better raw than others, and spinach is a pretty good one. The other best ones I think would be carrots and broccoli. Just like to dip them in some ranch and eat them that way. And I do like dipping them as opposed to just drizzling ranch on it. There's something very satisfying about the act of dipping things. Couldn't tell you what it was, but I feel it. I think that's what matters in the end. Just all the funny little feelings. Just want to straighten out some of these vertices. It felt like a lot of them were getting a little bit crooked, and the bang was kind of in the way, so I needed to move it out of the way for just a second while I fixed all these little areas. And now that they're all fixed, I can turn it back on. And hopefully this look will be pretty good. Nope, we're not quite there yet. Still some shenanigans around this little shadow. Oh, little shadow, why don't you want to work with me? I'm very friendly, I promise. I want nothing but happiness for you. Just the way these vertexes align, I may not be able to get a completely perfect alignment here. I will do my best, though. See what I can do for this little area. Hopefully I can find them all good homes. And places where they can just be very happy. Proving to be easier said than done, though. But isn't that just how life is sometimes? Something seems like it should be fairly easy, but it isn't always. Life is hard. Okay, I actually think this tip of the shadow area is shrinking a bit, so I probably actually want this vertex a little bit higher up. Maybe that was my problem. Yeah, I think that was part of it. The other part is just the angle at the base here. This vertex needs to come like way down here. This got pushed way high up. I'm not sure how that happened, but I did use the brush to adjust things, so that's probably exactly how that happened. I think this is fine, so I think this is where I will stop for today. So thank you all for coming. If you'd like me to take a look at your own creative projects, whether that be art, writing, coding, game design, or any other creative pursuit you can think of, feel free to message or at me on Twitter or Instagram and I'll take a look and maybe leave some comments. I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.